Welcome to the world of the future, a world where happiness is mandatory, individuality is a threat, and your role in society is decided before you're even born. Sounds wild, right? That's the eerie reality in Aldous Huxley's groundbreaking novel, Brave New World. But is it really all that different from our world today? Stick around as we dive into one of the most chilling, thought-provoking, and surprisingly entertaining dystopian novels ever written. The story takes place in the distant future, in a society known as the World State. This isn't your run-of-the-mill future. It's a super-controlled, ultra-efficient dystopia where humans are manufactured in factories. Babies aren't born. They're made in a lab through a process called the Bokanovsky process. A single human egg is split into dozens, sometimes even up to 96 identical embryos. Why? To mass-produce humans, of course. Efficiency is the name of the game. After being cooked up in a lab, these embryos are predestined for specific roles in society. The world state has a rigid caste system with 5 tiers. Alphas are the intellectual elites, the scientists, leaders, and thinkers. Betas are their slightly less brainy assistants. Gammas, deltas, and epsilons are the worker bees, doing all the grunt work. To ensure everyone is happy with their lot in life, they're brainwashed from birth through hypnopedia or sleep teaching. Imagine listening to the same phrase over and over while you sleep. Creepy, right? But in the world state, it works like a charm. And let's not forget Soma, the magical little pill that keeps everyone chill and docile. Feeling sad? Papa Soma? Feeling too happy? Papa Soma. It's their version of modern antidepressants, but with no side effects, or so they say. Now let's meet our cast of characters. First up is Bernard Marx. Bernard is an alpha plus, which means he's part of the intellectual elite. But here's the thing. Bernard doesn't fit in. He's shorter than most alphas, which makes him insecure, and he hates how superficial the world state is. Bernard is basically the angsty teenager of the world state. Then there's Lenina Crown, a beta worker who's all about going with the flow. She loves her Soma, her casual relationships, and her designer clothes. Lenina represents everything Bernard can't stand about the world state. Yet he's totally into her. Classic opposites attract. And finally, we have John the Savage, arguably the most fascinating character in the book. John was born naturally, not in a lab, and raised on a savage reservation, a place where people still live primitively without the world state's technology and control. When John enters the world state, it's like throwing a wild card into the deck, and trust me, shakes things up. The story kicks off when Bernard and Lenina take a trip to the savage reservation. This is like a theme park for the world state citizens, where they can observe how uncivilized people live. Think of it as a safari, but for humans. On the reservation, Bernard and Lenina meet John and his mother, Linda. Here's the twist. Linda is actually from the world state. Years ago, she got stranded on the reservation and gave birth to John the old-fashioned way. Scandalous, right? Bernard decides to bring John and Linda back to the world state, thinking it'll make him famous. And boy, does it ever. John becomes an instant celebrity, nicknamed the Savage. But fame isn't all it's cracked up to be, and John's old-fashioned values clash big time with the world state's hedonistic culture. On the surface, Brave New World might seem like a warning about technology. But dig a little deeper, and you'll see it's really about control through pleasure, distraction, and conformity. In the world state, there's no war, no poverty, and no disease. Sounds great, right? But there's also no freedom, no individuality, and no real emotions. People are essentially cogs in a machine, and the price of their happiness is their humanity. One of the most chilling lines in the book comes from Mustafa Mond, one of the world controllers. He says, "Happiness is never grand." In other words, true happiness, the kind that comes from struggle, and triumph, is incompatible with a perfect society. As John spends more time in the world state, he becomes increasingly disillusioned. He hates the way people throw around words like love and family, as if they're dirty jokes. He's horrified by the reliance on Soma and the lack of real connections. In one unforgettable scene, John tries to stage a rebellion by throwing away people's Soma supply. Spoiler alert. It doesn't go well. The people freak out, and the authorities quickly step in to restore order. Ultimately, John can't reconcile his values with the world state's culture, In a heartbreaking turn of events, he isolates himself and tries to live a pure, self-sufficient life. But even then, he can't escape the prying eyes of the world state. The story ends on a dark note, leaving readers to grapple with some heavy questions about the price of progress. So, why should you care about a book written in 1932? Because Brave New World feels eerily relevant today. Think about it. We live in a world where technology dominates our lives, where social media keeps us distracted, and where consumerism drives our happiness. Sound familiar? Huxley's vision of a society obsessed with comfort and pleasure serves as a powerful warning. It asks us to think critically about the things we take for granted: our freedom, our individuality, and our humanity. And that's the beauty of Brave New World. It's not just a book, it's a mirror held up to society. Whether you're a fan of dystopian fiction or just someone looking for a thought-provoking read, this book has something for everyone. So, what do you think? Is the world state really a utopia, or is it a nightmare in disguise? Let me know your thoughts.